Have you ever wondered why it is so hard to take that next step in your career, especially when it's a step you want to take? Maybe you're really excited about it, and deep down you sense that it's going to be a good move for you, and yet something is making you hesitate. Well, that hesitation isn't random, it's a pattern. And as a coach, I'm always really curious and listening to the reasons people give for not accepting outside help, whether that's enrolling in a course or working with a coach or even just accepting help from someone in their network. Because often the same patterns that are preventing you from saying yes to that outside support are the very patterns that are keeping you stuck in your career. This is something I talk about all the time with my coach friends, and I thought it might be a good idea to share some of the most common patterns with you, see what resonates, and see what we can start to shift. I just invite you to stay curious about where in your career and life you see them. What if it doesn't work or I end up worse off? Super common one. So where else in your career and life is fear of uncertainty keeping you from even trying? Where else, when as soon as you start to think about a potential path or get really excited about an idea, does your brain shift into all the ways that it could go wrong or all the ways you could fail versus all the ways you could be successful? And what would change for you if you trusted in your ability to be successful no matter what? I don't believe I can make money doing something I love. We talk about this one all the time. So where else are you pitting two or more essential requirements against one another, right? Where are you creating these false choices that no one would want to choose and thus keeping yourself stuck? I need to figure out a few things first. So where else is this preventing you from actually getting the support you need? Oftentimes this shows up as a construction like once X happens, then I'll do Y. And what's super interesting here is often in this construction that we create, X is the thing that for whatever reason we haven't been able to solve for on our own. How this shows up when people talk to me is, Caroline, I just need to get a little clearer first and then I'll come work with you. Or Caroline, I just need to clear some time and space and then I'll join the program. And I'm almost like, no. Come work with me so that we can clear that time and space. I can help you do that. I'm too busy right now, maybe next month. So you've probably experienced this, you know where this goes. But pay attention to procrastination disguised as preparation, right? I'm just preparing to start work on my career, preparing to take this next step, and preparation disguised as progress. So I will hold my hand up here. When I first left corporate to start my business, suddenly every home improvement project in my home, in many cases, which I had been putting off for years, suddenly all of those things became priorities, right? So they all rose to the top of the list. And isn't it interesting that I could kind of temporarily give myself this satisfaction? I was creating this busyness that, maybe in the short term made me feel a little bit better, but it was preventing me from doing the thing that I really wanted to and acting as an excuse, right? Well, I can't work on this thing that scares me. Even though I want to do it, it scares me. And so I'm going to stay safe and busy in this thing. So where else are you creating that busyness that keeps you from the work you actually want to do? My situation is different. Those examples don't apply to me. So where are you holding yourself out as the exception, the one person that change won't work for, especially when you see all sorts of examples of people who have gone before you and been successful? So I'm all for exceptionalism when it comes for leaning into your strengths and the unique things that you bring to the table. This is the flip side of that. So pay attention if you are holding yourself out as the one person who can't be successful. I've never spent this much money on myself. So this is an interesting one. So when people say this to me, often it is unprompted and followed by, I've never spent this much money on myself. We just spent $20K on the kids' private tuition, or we just remodeled the kitchen. And I always think it's so interesting how easy it is to invest in our kids, our pets, our homes. And yet we're so reluctant and hesitant to invest in our own long-term happiness and fulfillment. And so on this one, I invite you, this is why I'm a money mindset coach, right? It's never about money. It's always about the things that money represents. So swap out money and swap in time and energy and ask yourself, where are you over investing your time and energy in other people or other things? And where are you under investing your time and energy in yourself? something to think about. I'm worried I won't make back the investment. And again, this is assuming that this is an investment you want to make in time, energy, or money. And I think there's an element to this that we're always doing, which is healthy, right? We're always calculating where, if we're going to get something equal or more out of what we invest in. As an introvert, right, I'm constantly thinking about, is this going to be worth the time and energy that I'm spending on this conversation or on this activity, right? And the same is true for money. So I think there's an aspect of this, consciously or unconsciously, we're always doing this, and it's healthy. And what I would invite you to look for is, where do you really want to do this thing? Where do you really want to invest? And yet you're still hesitating. So as a way to illustrate this, there was a potential client that I spoke to, and she was so excited about the program. She really wanted to work together. We had multiple conversations. She kept reiterating how much she wanted to do it. And then when it came time to invest, she just was really struggling. And I said, oh, this is easy. I was like, we'll just make as a goal of our work together that with this next career opportunity that you accept, we'll just set as a requirement that you have to earn equal or more to what you're investing in the program, right? I said, we can even have fun with it. We can set that goal as 2x or 3x the investment. And she says, Caroline, I'm never going to make that much money again. And so I said, oh my gosh, we have to work together. Not only do we have to work together, that is one of the first things that I would like to explore with you. Isn't it interesting that she was assuming that the money she earned wasn't attributable to her skills or experience or the open market value of what she brought to the table? She was assuming that someone was just giving her that money out of their own generosity and goodness of their own hearts. And so where else is that happening for you? Kind of where are you pushing those things away? Where are you ascribing external explanations for your success? And where are you internalizing failures or things that don't go right? And abundance is really at the core of this. You've probably heard me talk about this, right? How are you possibly going to earn the financial abundance you want if you are unable to receive support, right? And vice versa, right? If we can't accept monetary compensation, I bet if we dug in with that client, we'd find all sorts of ways she's probably not even aware of that she's pushing away non-monetary abundance. All these patterns run really deep. I hope that you are hearing this as we go through these and starting to maybe recognize them showing up in your career and life. And behind all of this hesitation, right, is fear, scarcity, discomfort with uncertainty, and even just sitting with stillness, imposter syndrome. Once you recognize these patterns, you're probably going to start to see them everywhere. Don't freak out. Like, the good news is that now we know this is not a real external barrier. This is an internal pattern that we can shift, and hopefully you can start to see how much power you have to actually move through them. So the first step I invite you to take is just name what's stopping you. I would love it if you commented or reached out to me and said, Caroline, this is the thing that I'm hesitating on, even though I really want to do it. I hope you've enjoyed this. Leave your questions in your comments below, and I'll talk to you soon.